one of the top teams, and we continue to work to prevent ourselves from basically shooting ourselves in the foot in matches, because we control most matches, whether positively or negatively. We're impacting the match in some way, and just working on limiting the amount of errors we commit, because we're gonna get our points, and it's important to be physical and it's important to be aggressive against everybody. And going against that Ferris match, if any of you guys followed it, we were terrible in the first set. We were awful. And I called timeout, and we talked about that, because leading up to the match, the way we were talking about Ferris as if they were some, amazing team. And really, it felt like they didn't believe in themselves. And so we talked about that in that first set. And they really turned it around, and we played well. And even into the fifth set, when we were down 5-10 when I called my second timeout, I just believed in them that they were going to do it, and we did that. And Jamie, who's been struggling all year with her serving, went out there and got a run, I think, of 6 in a row. And it was because she went out there confidently. She wasn't just trying to put the ball in. She was being aggressive, and it was getting Ferris in trouble. Their offense became predictable, and we were able to slow them down. As soon as you make anybody predictable, you can shut them down, especially us, because we're right now the best blocking team in the country in Division II. So when you get a team in trouble, you're able to shut them down. And then same thing with Northwood, where you serve them tough, you get them in trouble, you make them predictable, and we can beat anybody in the country at that point because of how physical we are at the net.
When I talked to you at the beginning of the season, you felt like there was a lot of talent on this roster, but you wanted them to reach their full potential. Do you feel like they've reached that point, or do you feel like there's still some work to be done?
At points, they play to their potential. I think I can't gauge much other than what I'm seeing this year. But at moments, I feel like sometimes they almost don't believe in themselves, like I was alluding to in the first set against Ferris, where they almost go out there and they're waiting for something bad to happen. And so we talk a lot about that. That's one thing, we talk a lot about those things, because I think, like I said, they're as physically imposing against an opponent as you can be, but sometimes their head gets in the way. And so we just talk about how good they are and what they need to do to make adjustments. And but yeah, I mean, Kayla Chosa, the middle, is leading the league in hitting percentage, is second in blocks behind another Northern player, Sarah Keene. Jamie is, I think, third or fourth in the league in assists per set, and Madison is continuing to climb the leaderboard. I think she's third maybe all-time in Northern history in kills or somewhere near that. So yeah, I mean, we have work to do always, but I think they're playing at an extremely high level right now.
Sarah, earned Player of the Week. Talk about what she means to your team.
Sarah actually, she's a transfer from Minnesota Mankato. She was the first call I got. When I got the job, I was in Detroit, and I was driving up for the first time, and she called me and said, I'm supposed to have a visit. Obviously, you're new. I didn't know if I still should come. And I said, I don't know anything about Northern Michigan other than it's in Marquette. So come on up, and we'll learn about it together, and we'll learn about the university together. And it went great. And, I mean, she has been an incredible addition to this team. If she didn't play a minute, I would be happy that she's here because of the presence she has in the locker room, in practice. She's always working hard. You watch her in a match, she is the one that everyone gravitates to watching, because when we make big plays, she's celebrating, sliding on the floor, which I yell at her for because she gets it sweaty. But she's just such an incredible teammate, and it's been so much fun watching her. And because of the talent we have, sometimes it gets overshadowed what she really does. So to have her have a weekend like she did, where she had 18 kills against Ferris, and then I think she had 12 kills against Northwood, also adding in all those blocks. She's leading the league in blocks right now. I'm really, really happy for her, because she took a chance on me because she didn't know anything about me coming into this whole thing, and now it's paying off for her, which I'm happy for.
How about tomorrow?
Tomorrow, Davenport. I'm actually watching film from our first match, and Kristen is watching their matches from the weekend. They're a different team. You just look at the box score from our first match, and then you look at the box score from their win against Grand Valley. There's 3 or 4 different players that are contributing for their team right now than they were a month ago. So and they were in a rough place when we played them the first time and beat them. They're not used to the travel. They're definitely not used to coming to the Upper Peninsula. And the day before, they had gotten absolutely crushed by Tech. So they were in a bad place when we played them. So I factor a lot of that into it. So we're going to have to be ready. I mean, they are on, I think, a 3-game win streak. They won in 5 in all 3 of them. Against Wayne State, they were down 0-2 and down 2-1 against Grand Valley, and they came back and won both. They're outside, number 15, Dill, was just named South Player of the Week. She's a very good player. The nice thing about them is they do, in terms of their offense, it's very similar to Ferris. They have an outside they like to go to. And I think we match up well with that, with Madison's blocking and Jamie blocking. And then both of our middles, I think we can slow them down. And then once you force them to use their middles and their right side a little bit more, that kind of plays into our favor, and we should be able to slow them down. And then we're just going to be doing exactly what we've been doing all year, which is serving them tough and forcing them out of system, and then allowing our blocking to kind of shine. And then the other part of it is our transition offense is very, very good. So making sure Kayla, Sarah, and Madison are getting the ball as much as possible will probably really lead to a lot of success.
Therefore, make them predictable.
Make them predictable. Yeah, I mean, any team, you make them predictable and allow our blocking to be an offensive weapon. We talk about that a lot. Do you think blocking, that's stopping them and being defensive, but really you can earn a lot of points with your blocking. And so we're going to continue to try to make that a point.
You're leading the conference in aces per set and second in total aces. How do you become good at getting aces that consistent?
Well, there's a couple of things. You practice it a lot, obviously. You practice serving. There's a couple of different types of serves that are becoming more popular across all divisions and all levels that we've been working on, which essentially is backing up. So you think you want to get as close to the line as possible to get the ball to the other side as quick as possible, but that's not necessarily the case anymore. It's more about backing up and allowing that ball to move. When you serve it tough, it moves a ton and it creates confusion on the other side of the net. The other thing is we don't focus on missed serves. If you start to think, I missed my serve, and then you're just like, I need to get the next one in, then it becomes too easy. And you give a team an easy serve at this level, they're just going to shove right down your throat. So against Ferris is a great example. We talked about it a ton. We were missing a lot of serves against Ferris, but we were also getting them in trouble when we were making our serves. So you have to continue you need to trust that you're going to make your serve. And if you miss it, you just have to move on. But when you do make them and you get them predictable on offense, it becomes a lot easier. And so you live with the misses because of how important those made serves are when they're tough.
To clarify, if Ferris were to lose, you guys would host the rest of the tournament?
If we win. Yeah, so it's how it works is the top 4 seeds. So there's 8 teams in the tournament. The top 4 seeds will host tomorrow, and then the highest remaining seed after that will host the semis and finals. So if Ferris were to lose and we were to win, we would host on Saturday and Sunday. So we're focused on Davenport and just getting the win there. But obviously, once that's said and done, if we are on the winning end, we'll be watching that match as it plays out, and hoping that we get an opportunity to host, because nobody wants to come up here. I can tell you that.
How big is this playoff run for the seniors?
Ginormous. One thing that happens a lot of times when you come in as a new coach is, immediately people talk about rebuilding. You have to implement your culture, and unfortunately, a lot of times that leaves the seniors out of it, because the first season, it's almost like a lost cause. But when I came in and the first practice I ran, I saw how hard they were working. And that's one of the things I think about, with a good culture is the girls come in and they're just willing to run through a wall. You're not always going to execute, and that needs to be understood. But if they're willing to give the effort and after meeting with them, be leaders, I'm all in on them. And they're so talented. They're unbelievable. I inherited an incredible team in terms of talent. And their desire to win was so high that I wasn't going to let them down by not giving everything I had into this season and focusing on this season. And they've bought in wholeheartedly. If they wouldn't have believed in me right away, if you have those moments where you're fighting, well, this is what we did for the last 3 years, and they haven't had that at all. They came in, they wanted a clean slate as much as I did, and so it's been really easy. Jamie has been an incredible leader, both on the floor and the locker room. Kayla has really come out of her shell. we're working on stuff. Like I said, they doubt themselves sometimes, but for these seniors to get this opportunity even to be, in the talks for the national tournament and qualify and be the second-ranked team after last year they didn't make the GLIAC tournament, to now be the second-ranked team in the tournament is a huge accomplishment for them, and they deserve everything they've gotten. I mean, a lot of what I've been doing this year, because I recognize how talented they were, was just to get out of the way. Let them do what they're capable of. Stop looking at me. Like the first practice, I had to yell at them, stop looking at me. Like, I don't have the answer. Just keep playing. Or they have the answer already. They'll make a mistake, and then you'll see them say to themselves what they did wrong, and then they'll look at me like they need validation that what they just said was right. So stop looking at me. I'm not going to say anything you don't already know. And so when you watch me coach, a lot of times people are wondering what I'm doing, because I'm just sitting there. But it's really me just getting out of the way. If I have something to say, I'll go up there and say it. But otherwise, they don't need to hear me talk. They need to focus on what's happening between the lines with the six of them. And another part of it is our bench has been just so incredible. They're so engaged and involved, and they're silly, but that's what you need. You need that, because that's showing the girls that are on the court that they are in it with them. And it's also showing me that if at any moment someone on the court is struggling, I can call on them and they are engaged in what's happening in the match. They're not sitting there, they're not watching the crowd. They're focused on what they need to do on the court.
Absolutely. You mentioned this being your first season. On paper, it's a pretty darn good season. How would you assess this season?
If I'm being honest, it's exactly where I thought we'd be. And I told the team this. When we started in the spring, I said, we're the second best team probably in the GLIAC. And I believed it. And I said, I think Ferris is still kind of the metric that you need to follow. But I think we're just as good as anybody else. And so at moments, that Michigan Tech match at home was tough. And you have that question of, and I know the team, like, are we quite there? But our whole body of work throughout the entire season has been a really good one. I mean, the matches that we've lost at home, we've lost in 5. And in 5 setters, anything can happen. You don't want to get to 5 setters because anything can happen. You want to take care of business before that. But to get 20 wins on the season for this team, to be the second-ranked team, we needed a little help from Grand Valley on Saturday, which they did. I'm just really happy. I'm happy for the team. For me, it's great, whatever. But when these girls came in and we met for the first time, they had gone through, what they did with the previous coach, and they had a coach for like a month and a half, and then she left. You kind of feel like the ugly stepchild, like, like what are we doing that's driving these people away from us or whatever, even if it's right or not in their thinking. I wanted to make sure I saw that, and I wanted to make sure they understood they're talented, that they're capable of anything, and it's been just so much fun to see them kind of grow and become the team that they are. And so I feel like I'm just being taken along for the ride, which I've enjoyed the ride so far.